We're gearing up, we're ready to go.
State Senator Jeff Jackson represents District 37 in Mecklenburg County. Now he's running in the Democratic primary for the 2022 U.S. Senate race. He's visiting every county in the state as part of his campaign.
The first thing that we're going to do, though, is roll out an organizing plan. So we're working on that now. That should come out in about the next 10 days.
The biggest concern Jackson's heard from his constituents is education.
By far, the biggest issue is kids in schools, getting kids back into schools when it comes to the recovery and how quickly we can make that happen.
He believes opening up schools should be decided on a county-by-county basis and that it's possible to open up classrooms safely and quickly.
I think the folks who have been very clear, the political leaders, the elected leaders who have been very clear on the importance of wearing masks, on the importance of social distancing, just on the take this very seriously side of the debate. As it turns out, those folks have been the get kids in school as fast as possible side. It has been the elected leaders who have been downplaying this and undermining wearing masks and saying we don't really need to take this seriously. Those have been the folks who have turned out to be against getting kids back in school because this is ultimately virus dependent.
Jackson believes other immediate concerns are vaccine distribution, then economic recovery.
This is going to be a massive challenge. Folks who think that, well, once the vaccine comes, we can flip the switch and people get back to normal don't really appreciate that a lot of families, like millions of families across the state, were already on the brink before the pandemic hit. And now we have to go and pull people back up and get them back into school and get them back into work. It's going to be a challenge.
Jackson says he's also addressing racial inequality.
I mean, what we saw, one of the things that we saw exposed was a series of glaring racial disparities, right? When it comes to healthcare and housing. And these were problems beforehand, but we just can't ignore that there are certain communities that were much more heavily impacted by this pandemic.
Jackson's popularity on a variety of social platforms could give him a campaign advantage. His explainer posts gain traction among users even outside his district. Jackson says this is just the way politics is evolving.
I see using social media as part of my job. I see it as an extension of what I do. My constituents, most of them don't want to read a newsletter that I mail out. They want to just see a post on Reddit or on Twitter, or on Facebook, somewhere where they already are, and just get a quick update about what's happening. To me, if that's where my constituents want to meet me, then it's my job to meet them there. I don't really feel like I have the luxury of saying, oh, I'd rather not use social media. No, part of the job actually is keeping your constituents informed, and you should try to do that. You should try to meet them where they are.
Republican incumbent Richard Burr is retiring at the end of his current term, leaving a seat he's held since 2005. Right now, 3 candidates are running for Burr's seat. Former Republican Congressman Mark Walker announced his campaign in December. He's currently the only GOP candidate running. Former Democratic State Senator Erica Smith has announced her latest run for the U.S. Senate. Smith lost to Cal Cunningham in last year's Democratic Senate primary. Cunningham eventually lost his bid to unseat Republican Tom Tillis. There are also rumors North Carolina native Laura Trump may run. She's former President Trump's daughter-in-law, married to his son Eric. 9 on Your Side reached out to the North Carolina Republican Party for its views on next year's Senate race. The party has released several statements about Jackson, calling him Cal Cunningham Jr. Jackson's opponent in the primary, Erica Smith, is also criticizing Jackson's campaign, calling him an echo of Cunningham.
Look, I get it. We're early in a campaign. People came to know him really well, and they don't really know me. And so the first thing you do when you see something new is you make a comparison to something. So that's going to be a natural instinct. I get it. But within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it's not going to take long. People are going to see that I'm a completely different person and we are running a completely different campaign.
He also has a message for current Senator Tom Tillis, who would be Jackson's colleague if he's elected.
If he's ready to get some things done in a reasonable, sensible, practical way, great. We're going to be buddies. We're going to get a lot done. If he's not there to get things done, if he'd rather just ride the tide, okay, then we're going to go around you.
In Greenville, Victoria Holmes, 9 on Your Side.